Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new exciting stories from life. My brother's wedding was a disaster, but what follows will shock you. Hey Reddit, throw away here because my family lurks. I, 28F, am still reeling from what happened at my brother's wedding last weekend, and honestly, I don't know how to process it, so here goes. First, a little context. My brother Mark, 32M, is my only sibling, my best friend growing up, and the golden child in my mom's eyes. We lost Dad when we were teens, so it was just us and Mom for years. Mark was the steady, responsible one, football captain, honor roll, the whole package. I'm more the creative, finding myself type, as my aunts say at every family dinner. But Mark always had my back. When he met Kayla, 30F, I was honestly relieved. She's the type A event planner, put together, makes Pinterest boards for fun. I liked her, even though she and I never totally clicked. She was good for Mark. Helped him get out of his shell. Their engagement felt like the next logical step. Mom, of course, dove into wedding mode the second Mark proposed, which meant months of group texts about napkin colors, rehearsal dinners, and family drama. Still, I was happy. I wanted this to go well for my brother. He deserved it, after all the steadying he'd done for the rest of us. The morning of the wedding, I woke up in the hotel with this weird feeling in my gut. You know when everything's too perfect? Mark texted me at 7 a.m. sharp. Meet me for coffee before the madness starts. We sat in the lobby, him fidgeting with his tie, both of us pretending we weren't nervous. He said, "Promise me you'll keep Mom from losing her mind today." I laughed, not knowing how badly I'd fail at that one. If only I'd known what was coming. If only any of us had. The ceremony was supposed to be simple. Garden, string quartet, just close friends and family. But as soon as I stepped outside, something felt off. The sky was gray, thanks, unpredictable May, but Kayla insisted on an outdoor setup anyway. The wedding planner, a friend of Kayla's, looked ready to pass out from stress, already yelling into her headset about the florist being late. My Uncle Pete had started in on the champagne early, and Mom was fussing over the seating chart for the 50th time, whisper shouting at me. "Why did your friend Sarah RSVP so late? Where do I even put her?" I tried to help, but things kept snowballing. The florist finally arrived, except half the centerpieces were missing. Kayla's mom threw a fit in front of everyone. We paid for lilies, not these weeds. Mark tried to play peacemaker, but ended up getting roped into rearranging flowers with me, still in his suit and looking more nervous by the minute. Then came the real fun. The audio system for the vows died mid-rehearsal. The DJ blamed the humidity. I found myself sprinting to the parking lot to dig through my trunk for the old Bluetooth speaker I use for picnics. So much for my makeup staying intact. Somehow, everyone was herded to their seats. The string quartet played the wrong song as Kayla walked down the aisle. Taylor Swift instead of Pachelbel's Canon. She shot a death glare at the musicians. I could see Mark's face flush, but he smiled anyway, trying to make the best of it. Just as the officiant started speaking, the wind picked up, scattering programs and lifting Kayla's veil so high it nearly took flight. I bit my lip to keep from laughing, but I could feel the tension radiating from the front row. If only it had stopped there. But this was just the beginning. The first real sign that we'd crossed from quirky into cursed came during the vows. Mark's always been calm under pressure, but I watched his hands shake as he slid Kayla's ring on. Kayla's turn came, and she suddenly went pale. At first, I thought she was just overwhelmed, but then she dropped the ring. It rolled down the aisle, bounced off someone's shoe, and disappeared into the grass. Cue the entire front row scrambling on hands and knees, while Kayla's mom shrieked, "This can't be happening," and the photographer kept snapping, hoping to make it look candid. When the ring was finally found by my friend Sarah, thank God, Kayla was almost in tears. Mark squeezed her hand and whispered something in her ear, and for a moment, I thought they'd rally. But then, right as the officiant asked if anyone objected, a little kid's voice rang out. "Mommy says this isn't going to last." The crowd gasped, heads swiveled, and Kayla's cousin tried to hush her son, but it was too late. The tension exploded. Everyone laughed nervously, but Kayla was mortified. She shot daggers at her cousin, then burst into tears. The officiant tried to keep things moving, but the mood was wrecked. My Uncle Pete, still tipsy, started loudly, "ING, and offering his own half-drunken advice about love. Marriage is just two people yelling at each other until one of them dies. The rest of the ceremony was a blur. Kayla's makeup ran, Mark looked lost, and Mom kept clutching her pearls like she might faint. Even the kiss felt awkward, quick and mechanical, more like a business transaction than a love story. The guests clapped, but the energy was off. I wanted to fix it for Mark, but I had no idea how. I remember thinking, surely the reception can't go worse. I was very, very wrong. We made our way to the reception hall, a tinted area in the garden that was already muddy from the drizzle. The guests shuffled in, exchanging awkward glances and forced smiles, trying to recover from the ceremony's train wreck. The caterers scrambled to mop up puddles, and Mom was muttering about how back in her day, weddings had real churches and real carpets. I tried to rally the bridal party, but Kayla had locked herself in the bathroom with her maid of honor. Mark hovered outside, looking helpless. She says she can't come out until her face is fixed, he told me, voice low. I knocked gently. Kayla, everyone's waiting. We can skip the grand entrance. Just come when you're ready. No answer. Meanwhile, the DJ, who, it turned out, had a broken foot, was blasting the wrong playlist. Instead of the couple's carefully curated mix, the speakers blared old 90s Eurodance. My Uncle Pete hit the dance floor alone, doing his infamous worm move, only to split his pants right down the middle in front of the head table. The room howled with laughter, except for Kayla's parents, who looked ready to explode. Eventually, Kayla emerged, eyes red but makeup repaired. The grand entrance was skipped. Instead, Mark led her quietly to their seats, both looking like they wanted to vanish. Then, the toast began. I tried to lighten the mood, sharing a story about Mark's dorky high school days, but Kayla's maid of honor went off script, delivering a rambling, emotional monologue about how hard it is to find love when your parents don't approve, which was news to everyone. Kayla's mom started arguing with her daughter right at the table, and Mark's face went blank. By the time the cake arrived, 2 hours late and half collapsed, the entire room was on edge. But nothing prepared us for the secret that was about to come out, blowing everything else out of the water. The energy in the tent was strange, like everyone was bracing for another disaster. I was desperately hoping things would settle down after dinner, but the universe had other plans. Right as the servers were awkwardly slicing the lopsided cake, Kayla's father stood up, glass in hand, and cleared his throat for a few words. He's always been reserved, so everyone quieted down, thinking maybe he'd say something heartfelt to mend the night. He started out normal enough, talking about how proud he was of his daughter, but then his tone shifted. Marriage, he said, is about honesty, trust, and facing the truth, even when it's hard. Kayla's mom tried to hush him, but he just kept going. Sometimes, secrets have a way of coming out, whether you want them to or not. The room went silent. Kayla's face drained of color. Then he turned directly to Mark. My advice: don't start your life together with lies. For a second, nobody moved. I saw Mark look at Kayla, confusion all over his face. Suddenly, Kayla shot up from her chair. Dad, don't, she snapped, but he ignored her. He pulled a small envelope from his jacket, handed it to Mark, and said, read it now. It's time. Mark, shaking, opened the envelope. The whole tent seemed to hold its breath. He scanned the letter, his jaw tightening. Kayla started crying again, mumbling, I was going to tell you, I swear. Mark stared at her, voice breaking. Is this true? Kayla just sobbed. The guests started whispering, and Mom looked like she might pass out. Nobody knew what was happening. Until Mark read the letter aloud, and the truth shattered any hope of salvaging the night. My heart was pounding. I'd never seen my brother look so betrayed. Whatever was in that letter, it was about to change everything. Mark's hands shook as he unfolded the letter, eyes scanning the lines in disbelief. The room was dead silent. Only the rain tapping on the tent's roof, and Kayla's muffled sobs breaking the quiet. My mouth went dry as Mark began to read, his voice low at first, then louder, disbelief turning to hurt. Kayla, I love you, but I can't marry you if you're hiding things from me. You promised this was behind you. I need to know, before we start a family, who I'm really marrying. He looked up, choking. Kayla, what is this about? Kayla buried her face in her hands, her father standing firm at her side. Mark, I was going to tell you. I tried, I thought if we started fresh. Her father cut her off. Kayla, you have to tell him. All of it. Now. And then, in a voice so shaky I barely recognized her, Kayla admitted it. Mark, I wasn't honest about my past. About my ex. A ripple went through the guests. More whispers, glances exchanged. Before we met, I was in a relationship. He was older, and it didn't end well. I thought it was over, but he's been contacting me again, even showing up. I was scared, and I didn't know how to say it without ruining everything. Mark's face fell. You told me there was nothing, no one, that could come between us. How long has this been going on? Kayla was trembling. Since last month. He sent those letters to my dad. I begged him to stop, but that's when her father stepped in, voice stern. I thought you deserved the truth, Mark. A marriage built on secrets is doomed. The guests were stunned. Some looked angry, others just sad. Mom stared at her lap, silently crying. The entire wedding, months of anticipation, and now it felt like everything had collapsed in a matter of minutes. And that, I thought, had to be the final blow. But I didn't realize the real shock was still to come. Just when I thought the worst was over, a commotion at the tent entrance made everyone turn. A man I'd never seen before, drenched from the rain, stormed in, his suit rumpled, face flushed with anger. He ignored the gasps and shouts from the guests and marched straight toward Kayla. My heart stopped as I realized this had to be the ex. Kayla shrank back, but he raised his hands, voice booming. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want my truth heard. The security guys were slow to react, too stunned by the drama. The entire tent held its breath as he faced Mark. I'm sorry, man, he said, surprisingly steady. I tried to let it go, but she never gave me closure. I had to see her happy with someone else, someone who doesn't know everything. He looked at Kayla, pain in his eyes. Tell him the rest, Kayla. He deserves it. Kayla was trembling, tears streaming down her face. Please, just leave. I told you, this isn't the place. Mark, barely holding himself together, demanded, what else don't I know? The ex took a breath. I'm not proud, but Kayla and we have a child together. The tent erupted. Kayla's mom let out a strangled gasp. Her father's face went red with fury. Kayla's knees buckled, and I instinctively rushed to steady her. Mark staggered back like he'd been punched. You have a kid? And you didn't tell me? Kayla could barely speak. I was scared you'd leave me. I was going to tell you, after the wedding. I thought we could start fresh. Mark's whole body shook. How could you think starting with a lie would work? The guests were in shock. My mom covered her mouth. The silence was excruciating. I wanted to reach out, but no words felt big enough for that moment. The entire wedding felt like it was collapsing around us, and I could only watch as my brother's world broke apart in front of everyone. The air in the tent was electric. Every guest caught between horror, curiosity, and awkward pity. Mark's face was ashen, lips pressed tight like he was holding back a scream. Kayla's ex stood awkwardly by the door, his presence both a threat and a plea for understanding. The rain drummed harder outside, and I felt like we were all trapped in some surreal nightmare. Mark finally spoke, his voice barely more than a whisper. Kayla, why? Did you think I'd never find out? Did you think this would just disappear? Kayla sobbed. I didn't want to lose you. I thought if you just met me as I am now, without the past, we could be happy. I'm sorry, Mark. I'm so sorry. He shook his head, tears threatening his own composure. Marriage isn't about pretending. It's about the hard parts too. I could have accepted your past, but you didn't trust me with it. The ex took a shaky step forward. I only wanted you to know. She's not a bad person. She just didn't know how to face it. Kayla's parents started arguing. Her mom accusing her dad of ruining everything by bringing the letter. Her dad insisting truth is better than lies. Some guests made excuses and slipped out. The bridal party just sat frozen, wine glasses untouched. My own mom quietly got up and hugged Mark, whispering something in his ear. He nodded, but he looked like a shell of himself. The DJ, oblivious, tried to lighten the mood with a love song, but nobody listened. The wedding planner hovered in the corner, eyes wide, mouthing, I am so sorry to me. Finally, Mark stood. I need air. He walked out into the rain, not caring about his suit or the guests, just gone. Kayla collapsed in her chair, sobbing uncontrollably. I followed Mark outside. For the first time, I saw not just my older brother, but a man totally lost, trying to decide if there was any way forward. The disaster wasn't just the wedding. It was everything they'd built, unraveling in the space of one brutal night. I found Mark standing under a tree, rain soaking his tux, his breath coming in ragged bursts. I hesitated before stepping closer, unsure if he wanted company, but he just stared at the ground and shook his head. It's like everything I believed about today, about her, about us, gone in 5 minutes. I nodded, putting a hand on his shoulder. Mark, I know it hurts, but you deserve to know the truth, even if it comes out ugly. I wish I could say something that would make it easier. He finally looked at me, eyes red. What do I even do now? How do you come back from this? His voice cracked, all the confidence gone. I thought I was marrying my best friend. I feel like a stranger in my own life. I wanted to say something hopeful, but all I could do was stand with him while the rain washed away the last remnants of the day's pretense. Eventually, Kayla came outside, umbrella shaking in her hand. Her makeup was smeared, her dress muddy. Mark, I'm so sorry. I know you can't forgive me now, maybe ever, but I needed you to hear it from me. I love you. I never stopped. But I made a mistake, more than one. I was scared, and I kept running. Mark closed his eyes, his pain almost too much to watch. You should have trusted me. I would have tried, but you took that from us. They stood in silence, the kind that says everything words can't. The guests were trickling out, some offering awkward hugs or condolences, others avoiding us entirely. Inside the tent, Kayla's parents were in meltdown, her father yelling, her mother crying. I caught snatches of, "You've ruined her life," and "She's an adult, let her own it." All while the vendors quietly packed up the remnants of a wedding that had turned into a tragedy. Mark finally said, "I need time." "Maybe we all do." Kayla nodded, defeated. They went their separate ways, the first steps towards some kind of healing, or at least, honesty. I felt the weight of it all as I walked back inside, knowing nothing would ever be the same for any of us. The next morning, the garden looked like a battlefield, muddy footprints, half-eaten cake, wilted flowers. I sat with a mug of hotel coffee, replaying every detail in my mind. Mark texted me, "Thanks for being there. I'm heading to Mom's. Don't worry about me." Relief and sadness hit at the same time. News spread quickly, as it always does with family. Some relatives blamed Kayla, others her parents. Some even Mark for being too soft. I tried to tune it out. My priority was Mark. He was quiet for days, mostly sitting with Mom, going for long runs, refusing to see Kayla. But he wasn't angry, just emptied out. It was like watching him rebuild himself, piece by piece. Kayla reached out to me once, apologizing through tears, saying she never wanted to hurt anyone. I listened, but all I could offer was, honesty would have saved everyone a lot of pain. She agreed. I heard she moved back in with her parents, working through the fallout on her own. In the weeks after, the family shifted. People took sides, some relationships cooled, but others, like Mark and me, became closer. We'd always been tight, but now it was more real, more honest. We talked about Dad, about expectations, about how life never matches the script. Mark said, "I thought the worst thing would be a wedding disaster. Turns out, it's living a lie." He started therapy, took time off work. Slowly, he found laughter again. He didn't forgive Kayla right away, but he let go of the anger. If you're reading this because you're dreading family chaos or facing an ugly truth, here's my advice. Embrace the mess. Secrets only make things worse. No amount of planning can protect you from life's curveballs, but honesty, real, raw honesty, can help you heal. Weddings are supposed to mark a new beginning, but sometimes they force you to confront what you need to leave behind. Our family's not perfect, but at least we're finally done pretending.